queen. Rape on the washing machine. No use to fight back. MMA. Knock your nigga head like a KKK. Hush your nigga mouth if you can't walk the talk. Smoke. Me running. Me running really, really fast. Ginger eye on the back of me black ass. Chasing me like a devil, pot belly of the beast. Calling me a dickhead, there is no resist. Closing inch by inch, got me in a pinch. Modern day Scotty Rock a laundry lynch. Chasing me like a devil, pot belly of the beast. Calling me a dickhead, there is no resist. Oh, close, smoke, me running really, really fast. Ginger ire on the back of me black ass. Chasing me like a devil, pot belly of the beast. Calling me a dickhead, there is no resist. Closing inch by inch, got me in a pinch. Modern day Scotty Rock a laundry lynch. Or you will get turned up. No, 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 no.
What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? As usual, hope we're doing well. It is a Saturday, and we're doing our Saturday stream, but it is not just any Saturday. It is MVP Saturday, is I suppose what you could call this. It is the Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano fight, and we are a little bit late. The reason we're late is because, it's funny. Two Saturdays in a row, I had a headache that made it so that I was like, I don't want to stream. And that includes this one. That includes right now. Like I have a headache that is just like really frustrating and annoying. But it's not. It's just okay enough. It's just okay enough. And this is kind of a big deal. So I wanted to make sure that I got to stream for it. Let me. Yeah. No, we are good. We are getting sound here. Sometimes we don't get sound, and that's pretty annoying. But yeah, so that's why I'm streaming randomly at like 9:45 instead of anything else. But we have a fight up right now. It's between two guys that I don't really know anything about. It's some dude named Parnasse versus a dude named Cross, and pretty high energy right out the gate. Somebody ended up on their back. We have Parnasse in blue and Cross in the red corner, and Cross just took down Parnasse, but Parnasse is right back to his feet. I mean, let's be honest here. We're not here because we're here because we want to see Ronda Rousey. We want to see we want to see Gina Carano. We want to see Nate Diaz and everybody else. Gina Carano, it's funny to see she's fighting again. She was fighting before I really even paid attention to mixed martial arts in the first place. I was not really watching MMA back when she was fighting, truthfully. I was aware of it, like 2007, 2008. That's kind of when Never Back Down came out, which was the introduction from a lot of people. That was the introduction to MMA for a lot of people. Was like the movie Never Back Down, and then they were like, "Whoa, I want to do that," and then they start like looking into this MMA thing, and they find out about tons of different kinds of people. Kimbo Slice was another one of those too. Kimbo Slice doing the Ultimate Fighter was kind of a big deal as well. A lot of people started paying attention because of him. Not that tons of people were aware of who he was, like Like it was one of those the thing about MMA in the early days, right, was that there was a certain mythology about it, or if not a mythology, there was just it was different, right? Boxers, you knew, like, even if you had like some tough dude from the streets, he put in tons and tons and tons and tons of time in a gym. And there was no like, oh, I'm kind of ignoring this fight here. It is actually kind of an action packed fight, if we're being honest here. So I should probably pay a little bit closer attention to it. I'm also not gonna lie, I'm starting to feel kind of sick. Um, I'm hoping that's gonna change. I'm hoping that's not gonna be the way that everything just goes, But we will see. Like the idea of somebody like Kimbo Slice, who was billed as like a street fighter, or somebody like Tank Abbott, for instance, who was even. Sorry, fucking people texting me, my phone vibrating. It's like it's a distraction, but like the idea that there's somebody out there who could make it to a high level of a sport, specifically a fighting sport, and they're billed as a street fighter, right? They're billed as like a bare knuckle underground backyard brawler. It's like, ooh, that's actually pretty sick. I like that. It's interesting. There's interesting aspects to that. Oh man. So we have ground and pound right now from Parnass. Cross trying to get out. Oh man. I really hope that I feel better. Like literally like as soon as I started talking, I started feeling sick. I think it might have something to do with the exertion because when you're not all right even talking, like that's exertion. You have to utilize your body. I feel like hot right now. I'm hoping that. Is all good. Hold on one sec. Hold on one sec. I'm still here. Scott's wife, like Scott's wife, be like Honda Housey. Yeah, yeah. She does do that sometimes. I have to remind her, like, no, we don't. Our R's. Oh fuck. Our R's. Oh man. Fuck. Our R's never make an H sound. You know. That's what I have to remind her of. Is our R's don't make an H sound ever. Oh man. I just opened a window. I'm hoping that the extra air will kind of, for one thing, I'll get a little bit of fresh air, but then on top of that, it will be cool air. That's going to be so frustrating if I have to end this stream and then just watch this on my own. That's going to be so frustrating. I was looking forward to streaming for this all I was looking forward to streaming for this all week. I was actually gonna do it at the new place I'm gonna be living at. We got permission to move in a little bit early, so we moved a bunch of our stuff there, including the TVs and all that stuff. I'm moving like my fucking a. Sorry about that. Ah, I'm moving my streaming stuff, my computer and everything else last, so that's why I'm still at my parents' house. I'm probably not going to be able to move that for another week or two. So I'm going to be streaming here, even though I'm living somewhere else. Basically, fucking, this is going to be one of the last nights that I have to spend at my parents' house. But um, what's going on? What's going on, Reagan Migger? What's going on, Reagan Migger? How you doing? I would end it because I'm feeling kind of sick. I've been feeling kind of fucked up all day, but like I didn't feel like I was gonna throw up or anything like that. But like just the stream itself, the fact that I have to do all this talking, it's like just enough to kind of make me a little like, ugh. But I'm actually not doing that bad right now. I opened up the thing. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna see if I can stomach it. I'm gonna see if I can make it work. Um, Honestly, the event looks nice. They got Mauro Ronaldo from Pride on commentary. The guy who goes "Mamma Mia." Ah, yes, I remember that guy. Um, yeah. What was I gonna say? Yeah, like that. That's what I noticed right away when I threw it on. I was like, oh, that voice is familiar. Sometimes I get Steven Quadros and Mauro Ronaldo mixed up. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they sound similar or if it's just that I know them as like the voices of MMA who weren't in the UFC. Like I don't know which one of those it is, but yeah, I mean that's pretty cool that they got that. This fight, even though I completely ignored it, was pretty action packed. You got to give that to them. Um, is that yeah? I see Jake Paul in the background. Jake Paul sitting, yes, next to his wife, man. But yeah, this is a Jake Paul MVP showcase or event is what this is, and I believe this might be the first event run by MVP. I do see some people in the crowd, which is nice. Actually, I don't see that many people in the crowd. I don't see that many people in the crowd. That's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not as bad as people would say, right? And this is what I was talking about with Creator Clash 2. And that's how I knew that it was a flop, is because when you heard iDubbbz immediately after Creator Clash 2 start talking about oh, we sold out the Amalie Arena. We sold out the arena, the Amalie Arena. We sold it out. Nobody actually cares about selling out the gate anymore. Selling out the gate is like a cute little thing that you flash so that you can have like something nice to say about the promotion, right? It's like why would you undersell yourself? Why would you say that you're not doing that well, right? And also, why would you not highlight any good thing that happened with an event of yours, right? The UFC doesn't actually care about selling out the event, right? What they care about is pay-per-view buys, or in this case, just how many people were watching, because pay-per-view is kind of dead. And that's kind of the same deal where it's like, yeah, they may not sell out this arena, but what matters is the people who are watching at home on Netflix. And of course, I am one of them. Uh, oh man, Ronda Rousey getting knocked out would be hilarious. It would, honestly, like, fuck, man. I'm feeling better, but I'm still a little. Um, Yeah, with Ronda Rousey, like I never liked her. I remember Dana White allowed her into the UFC. He started the women's divisions just because Ronda Rousey was making a splash, and he didn't want to miss out on Ronda Rousey, and he couldn't downplay her either. If Dana White can downplay somebody and be like, that guy ain't that good, that guy sucks, he's an idiot, he doesn't fight really good fighters, blah, blah, blah. If he can do that, he will, and he does every single time. Either as a means to try and devalue the guy so that he'll be willing to take less when he does come to the UFC, or because the guy is outside of the UFC's control. The guy does not want to come to the UFC, or at least he doesn't want to come to the UFC for anything less than he's worth. And because of that, Dana White wants to shit all over the guy to try and convince people that he actually sucks and that you shouldn't pay attention to him and that he doesn't belong in the UFC. Um, so, like, the fact that Dana White brought Rousey in, it's because he knew he couldn't go without her. But after that, he was like, well, what do I give a fuck about women's MMA for? There were a couple of women, right, who came into the fold who did really well. You got like Valentina Shevchenko, you got Amanda Nunes, right? Weili Zhang was supposed to be like the next big thing, and I mean, she did very well. But there was a couple of fights that she was supposed to like walk through her opponent, like for instance Rose Namajunas, and she ended up getting head kicked in under 30 seconds, I believe it was, if not under a minute. Excuse me. Um, it's you know, women's MMA is a joke, and it's not fun to watch. Every now and again, you get a really good fight, or a really good fighter, but overall it's not that good. And I never really felt that women belonged in the UFC. So to have Ronda Rousey, I'm all over the place right now, and I apologize more than usual. And it's because, like I said, the headache and the sick feeling. What I was trying to say is, like, yeah, it would be nice to see Ronda Rousey lose for a third time. I wonder if she would take it well. I have a feeling she would not. She is the one who set up this fight between her and Gina Carano. Her and Gina Carano were supposed to be pals, and she saw Gina was in dire straits, and she was like, "Yo, let's fight. Like that'll be a big draw. We'll make millions. Fucking let's do it." I guarantee you, if Ronda loses to Gina, especially if it's by knockout or something like that, it's gonna be it's gonna be like a Bridezilla's tear meltdown. Is what's gonna happen. There's gonna be a Bridezilla's tear meltdown, and it's gonna be public. Um, that's gonna be funny as hell. Yes, we have Francis Ngannou versus Philip Lins, which is one of the fights that we were pretty interested in, but. When I was saying, I started talking about Ronda Rousey, then I started talking about women's MMA as a whole, right? Women's MMA is it's kind of a joke if we're being honest here. Could it be that good one day? Yeah, I'm not saying it couldn't, but as of right now, you're not seeing that, and in fact, it's been on the downtrend. You're seeing less women's MMA in the UFC cards. I don't think there's been a single women's fight. If not, then women have fought, but it's like there hasn't been a single women's title fight, and we're almost in the month of June for the year of 2026. That's pretty crazy when you think about it. Dana White was forced to let women's MMA into the UFC because there was one woman who was making a shit ton of money and was a draw to other promotions other than the UFC. So, of course, Dana just had to have her. And now we are in a situation where there's women who don't fight that well, for the most part, who are in the world's biggest stage. Women who, if you took their skill set and implanted it into a man, they would be regional talent. They would never have made it to the UFC. And that's just like a truth of the matter with a lot of women's sports. It's not just that women are like smaller and weaker and stupider. Girls go to Jupiter to get more stupider. It's not just all of the like sexual dimorphism stuff that leads to women's MMA just like not being that good. It's that a lot of these women are just not that talented. Like if you I'm not anything special. I've had like 10 to 15 fights, both sanctioned as well as like, exhibitions and stuff like that. I'm not fucking amazing myself, but if you took my skill set and you put it into a woman, they would run the UFC. They would not have a challenge until they started getting to the Valentina Shevchenkos, until they started getting to the Weili Zhangs, until they started getting to like that one woman who's the queen bee of each division. It would be insane, Women's MMA is just not that good because the women are not that good. And you could say why, you could say how. The bottom line is they're just not that good. Even Claressa Shields, like the way Claressa Shields throws her punches is the way like a tomato can male boxer throws his punches. Like and I there's no way for me to explain this without sounding like either a misogynist or like I'm jealous or something like that. But like if you understand the sport for what it is, if you understand the sport for what it really is, if you understand like the significance of these things, right? Sorry, I got distracted by the fucking thing. If you understand the significance of like what I'm talking about, if you understand the difference, you realize like, oh, like fucking I'm getting distracted by baseball. But anyway, what I was saying is if you understand the sport down to like the act of actually doing it, down to the importance of fundamentals and technique and other things like that. If you understand it from an insider perspective, I guess is the word that I was looking for, you understand that like these women are not that physically talented or technically gifted, or they're not that they're just not that good. They're just not that good, you know. You see them like if I throw a jab cross, it's going to be that. You see them throwing jab crosses, they go like that type of shit, you know. I'm having a hard time getting the word out, and I apologize for that, but I feel like you guys probably get the point, you know. Women's MMA has always been kind of a joke. You have like a few women that are like really good and they're kind of fun to watch, but overall, like for the most part, you have a bunch of women who are just not that good, and for some reason they don't get better. Like they don't improve. Like you'll see their first fight and they throw jab cross like that. Their UFC debut, their UFC title fight, You know, they can't just keep it here and go jab cross, straight out, straight back, straight out, straight back. They got to have some kind of hitch. They got to have some kind of like fucking tell. There's got to be something there, you know? And it's wild. It's wild to see, you know? The fucking pod on the background in the bed. JFC, yeah, I ain't doing that hot, bro. I ain't doing that hot. Plus, that's become a motif with these streams that I'm doing at my parents' house is fucking whatever I ate for dinner. Whatever I ate for dinner tonight is just sitting right there, you know? You know, I got to keep with the motif. What's going on, Neon? Oh, is that your piss pot? It is. Man. Oh. I'm feeling better though. The head is not hurting as much. And the sick feeling has mostly dissipated. But man, I was fucked up. I was not sure that I was going to be able to do my thing. I really figured I was going to like by the way, if it makes you guys happy, all right. Okay. All right. Oh, man. Anyway, yeah, I was not sure if I was going to be able to do this. I was not sure if I was going to actually get to stream tonight, you know? So, there's that. Man. Anyway, we have Francis Ngannou versus Philip Lins, but they don't look like they're ready to go. I don't know. In fact, let me double check. Oh, excuse me. Let me double check. Nuclear Snake. You were talking this whole time. Ariel Helwani is Netanyahu's top advisor. I believe it. Yeah, I think buying Strikeforce also meant buying their fighters. Had they not bought Strikeforce, when we mightn't have women fighting in the UFC. And I think that's partially why they bought Strikeforce, is because they probably knew that they wouldn't be able to get people like Ronda Rousey if they didn't knock out the competition. That's probably part of the reason why they bought it, is because they knew, like, okay, like Ronda Rousey is one of the last examples of somebody who Dana White was nervous about, because he knew that he needed her more than she needed him. And because of that, it would not surprise me if like 50 or more % of the reason why he went so hard to try and buy Strikeforce was because of Ronda Rousey. Because he knew that as long as there was a comparable MMA promotion in America, that Ronda Rousey would always have that choice. So if Dana was to treat her like shit, she'd be like, I'll take the dog and pony show somewhere else. Fuck you, buddy. You know? Hey, kid, fuck you, dude. I'm Ronda Rousey, kid. Suck my cock, dude. You fucking bitch. Anyway, like he knew that as long as there was a number 2 that was even this close, if this is the UFC, this is the number 2, that he would not have control of not just Ronda Rousey, but a lot of his fighters, you know? So he buys Strikeforce, he secures the bag with Ronda Rousey, and then he gets a bunch of other people who were fan favorites and very popular in the MMA world in the form of, say, like Nick and Nate Diaz. I forget if Nick and Nate both fought for Strikeforce. I know Nick Diaz fought for Strikeforce. They got Daniel Cormier out of the Strikeforce deal. They got Robbie Lawler. I don't know if Donald Cerrone was fighting for Strikeforce. He was a WEC guy at one point, though. And WEC is how they got Uriah Faber. Legend of the game. Somebody who never won a UFC championship, but he was always kind of understood to be like one of the best to do it at I believe it was bantamweight. If not, it was featherweight. At least in that era. But yeah, that was like, now look at where we are. I hope that Netflix, specifically MVP, I hope that MVP can rival the UFC. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't think it's going to happen. But I hope that it can. I hope that it would. Because then maybe we will not get such dog shit fights. And doing. Fuck, man. Doing the card on Netflix is the best way to do it. Because if you want to watch the UFC, you have two choices. You can go to Buffalo Wild Wings, or you can purchase a Fight Pass or whatever it is. No, Paramount Plus subscription is what it is. So actually, the UFC is not as inaccessible as it used to be. But the thing is, more people have Netflix than have Paramount Plus. And if I remember correctly, the UFC wanted a Netflix deal, but they couldn't make that work. So they went to Paramount Plus, or maybe Paramount Plus gave them a better deal for what they wanted to do, right? Netflix, on the other hand, more people have it. It's got a wider appeal than Paramount Plus. And because of that, it would not surprise me to find, who the fuck is Jared Verse? Get this fucking dumbass motherfucker off of my screen. Holy shit. Anyway, what are these, NFL guys or something? I could give a shit about that. But like Netflix is the way to go if you're going to try to challenge the UFC, because Netflix has a wider appeal. There was, Netflix was the first, and it's still the most dominant streaming platform. So it's going to have a wider audience, a wider appeal. And somebody who has never watched an MMA fight before, they might be scrolling Netflix one Saturday night and see that, and they might go, oh, let's see what this mixed martial arts shit is all about. And, now they're watching it. So, hey, it's like I said, good. Are you watching the Ngannou fight? Yes, I'm watching the Ngannou fight, Mr. Omenair. It's 2026. Everyone just have an IPT Fire Stick. Yeah, those things are pretty good. Francis Ngannou is 39 years old. Damn, that's pretty crazy, Heavyweights are old. You almost have to be an old man to be a heavyweight, Let me here. Now you guys get to look at my 5-on-1 equipment. Jeez Louise. Anyway. So, everybody knows Francis Ngannou. I obviously don't know anything about Philip Lins. I believe he might have been a PFL guy, but I could be wrong about that. We're gonna see. Like this is obvious. Yes, he was a 2018 PFL tournament winner. He left the UFC on a 4-fight win streak. So he was he was in the UFC, and he decided to just, I would assume he decided to just say fuck that. That's pretty crazy. I wonder now I'm curious, because I want to know. Now I'm curious. Give me one moment. Nick Diaz and his crew basically ran Strikeforce. Nick was welterweight champion. Gilbert Melendez was lightweight champion, and Jake Shields was middleweight champion. I remember that. They used to call him the Scrap Pack, and they brawled with not Jake Shields. They brawled with what's his face, fucking fucking I interviewed the guy, Mayhem Miller, Jason Miller. The guy that I interviewed. The guy that frankly like Jason Miller was kind of a dickhead. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. And that's part of the reason I wasn't like going crazy. It was really cool. It was a surreal experience to be able to speak to somebody that I used to watch on Bully Beatdown, and then I used to like look up his fights when I started getting into MMA, because by the time I was into MMA, he was into all his problems and stuff like that. He was kind of a dickhead when I hit him up. I'm going to be honest with you. The story behind that, I don't know if this person's watching now. I don't know if they still watch my stuff, but somebody hit me up on Discord, of all places. I don't talk to anybody on Discord, but somebody hit me up on Discord. They were like, hey, funny thing, Jason Mayhem Miller, you remember him? He hit me up asking me where he can do interviews and podcasts. I don't know why me, but he hit me up. So maybe you should hit him up. I told him about you. So I hit up Jason Miller because of course I'm going to hit up Jason Miller. Why wouldn't I? And he fucking like he was just kind of a dickhead, you know? And I ended up having to pay for the interview as well. That's part of the reason why I was so like stiff, is because like this dude, it's like, look, man, I have no problem paying for the interview, but you're going to be an asshole. And then the only reason you're going to like turn that around, the only reason you're going to be like, all right, yeah, fine, is because I'm like, I can pay you for your time. It's like, all right, bro, fucking, you would think the guy would be a little bit humbled. You know, you would think the guy would be a little bit humbled. Everybody loves the guy. I still like, it's almost like Bam Margera. It's like no matter what the guy does, he's always going to be Jason Miller. So I'm like, oh, fuck, Jason Miller. But like, that kind of put me off a little bit. I'm not going to lie. You know, I'm not going to lie. If you haven't seen that interview, like I said, definitely not my best. And I'm not like a great interviewer or orator in the first place, but still, it's fun. I asked him a question that he had never been asked before, and I asked him, what was it like backstage before the Sakuraba fight? And that's a question that only a fighter would think to ask somebody, you know, is because like I know what it felt like backstage before all of my fights. Each time was a little bit different, you know. And I was curious what the energy was like, and he answered that question. I forget exactly how he answered it, but I feel like he said something about like, you know, it was just like calm, it was quiet. I'm pretty sure is what he said, but yeah, you know, let's I'm curious, right? Felipe, whatever his name is, Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil. I just want to see like why did he leave? He beat Oven St. Preux. Ion Kudalaba. Yeah, he was released from the UFC, so I don't even know why. It doesn't even it doesn't even say why he left the UFC. I figured he would have left on his own. By the way, what's going on, Gilgoo NH, Gilgoo, New Hampshire? That's what I'm gonna call you. What's going on, Andrew Menezes? What's going on, Omenair? It's 20. Oh, I already read that one. Fuck him. Oh fuck. Oh man. How much did you pay him, Scott? $100. Nothing crazy, you know. Fucking more than I should have paid him though, since he was being such an asshole. But I was like, yo, let's fucking do it. There was a couple of reasons why that kind of slipped under the radar in terms of my channel, right? For one thing, like I said, I was kind of put off, and like at the end when we finished the interview, he was like, yeah, I didn't know what to expect, but you seem like an all right guy. And it's like, okay, look, like I get it, you know. I'm sure you got plenty of people who like, you know, they want to come to you and they treat it like a freak show sort of deal because, oh, Mayhem Miller, the guy who had all those problems, haha. Like, I can, if I'm being fair, I can understand a little bit of standoffishness, but like I didn't go to him like, "Hey pal, haha, what's up?" Like I didn't go to him like some kind of smooth talking like motherfucker. I was like, "Hey man, I'm a huge fan. I was wondering if you would be okay with me interviewing you. Would you be all right with doing an interview?" That's not like Hollywood like fucking you know, it's not like I was gonna kick him and then you fill in the rest and then any way you like him or anything like that. It's I'm not gonna it's not like I was gonna fucking do that. Um, it was just weird. But like for one thing, I was a little bit put off. And then for another thing, I was in the middle of blood game stuff. Like literally, like I interviewed this guy and then I had to rush to try and like get the interview out because I think like 2 weeks from the point that I interviewed him was the start of blood games, and everything that I was doing at that time was going into blood games is what was happening, but he did give me his phone number, like I have his number. He answered me a few times when I hit him up because I was actually trying to work on getting him to Fish Tank. And Sam was actually down to have him on Fish Tank, but then the shit started going down, and after that, it just didn't work out. We like in fact, it was in the middle of Bitch Tank, and Sam was there, and we were on camera, and I was like, "Yo, like, you want Jason Miller on the show?" And he was like, "Yeah, sure, I love that guy," and it's like fucking fantastic, It would have been great to have him out here, He could have did Sam's podcast. We could have set up a seminar for him, Like it would have been sick, but unfortunately it just didn't happen. Scott Sullivan versus Jason Mayhem Miller. Let's get this fight going, boys. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Was Jason Miller ever really a high-level guy or just more of a personality known for entrances and bully beatdown? I know he lost to Bisping. No, he was a high-level dude. He was high-level. He beat Sakuraba. Like, let's see who he beat, right? The thing is, like, back then, everybody was high-level. Like, you did not have more than a couple of fights in MMA unless you were like a respectable dude. The MMA world was so small back then. You didn't have room for like tomato cans. At least not in those like not in the UFC, not in Pride, not in all these other promotions. And like you had freak show fights where you had a dude like Bob Sapp who he would become known for kind of throwing fights and stuff like that, allegedly, but like in the beginning, Bob Sapp was fucking scary. He beat Ernesto Hoost twice in kickboxing. That was like, that's crazy, Jason Mayhem Miller. But yeah, like that's what made MMA so cool, is that you had such a wide dispersion of talent and they were always fighting each other. One of Mayhem Miller's first fights was against Chael Sonnen, for instance. Like you were just gonna fight dudes. You were just gonna fight dudes back then. It wasn't like what boxing became, where the dispersion of the talent was at the top and everybody below them was just kind of like a stepping stone on the way to the top. And like the dudes at the top never wanted to fight each other or anything like that. Like talent was everywhere and everybody was fighting everybody. But anyway, we have this first fight between Francis Ngannou versus Philippe Lins, and there is a heavy leg kick by Ngannou. Both staring each other down right now. Obviously, there's a deep respect for Ngannou's power. I've never seen Philippe Lins fight before, so I can't tell if that was a heavy kick to the body from Ngannou, but it's caught by Lins, and now Lins is up against the cage. He's got to be careful because Ngannou has his head in a position where he could choke him if he makes the wrong move. There's a knee from Ngannou off the cage. But I've never seen Lins fight before, so I don't know if he's got like bazookas or not. Like they're heavyweights. Everybody's got power at heavyweight, but there's power and then there's power. There's a knee off the cage from Ngannou again. Lynn's trying to improve position, but it's kind of tough for him because Ngannou had overhooks on the arms. There was a knee on the break from Ngannou. There's a kick from Ngannou. There's a kick attempt from Lynn's. Ooh, there's a left hook followed by an uppercut from Ngannou. Lynn's shoots for the takedown. Ngannou sprawls, and Lynn's pulls guard, which was probably not the best idea in any capacity. But, I mean, hey, I guess we'll see what he can do from here, you know? Ngannou is one of those guys, you never really see him in the ground and pound. He either gets taken down or he's trying to knock you out. You never really see him on top like that, It's interesting. Lynn's doing an all right job of trying to keep Francis busy, but Francis is also just being patient as well. He did the smart thing. He put him up against the cage to try and take away the space that he would use to try and escape. And there's a small stack there that Lynn's gets out of, and he is back to his knees. He is trying to stand up. Ngannou throwing some uppercuts. Ooh, couple of right hand and a left hand from Ngannou. There's a little bit of what looks like a little bit of blood on Lynn's around the leg, around the lip. Ngannou throws a head kick and misses, coming with another flurry of punches. None of them really connect like crazy. Ooh, there's an overhand from Lynn's that connects. Ngannou is unfazed. He landed a hook as Lynn's was going for that overhand. There's a cross up the middle. Ngannou doing a good job of making sure to stop the shot attempt, the level change. Throws a knee up the middle. There's an uppercut from Ngannou, just sort of, touching the body up a little bit. Ngannou has great power, but slow technical. Yeah, I mean, he's doing a good job of making sure he doesn't get taken down. But yeah, he is, he is lumbering. He's lumbering. Francis kind of reminds me of Sam a little bit. I think Francis is bigger. But like Sam, when I would spar with Sam, it was not as daunting as you would expect, simply because Sam was not that quick comparatively. He could be quick. He could be explosive, but Sam, if he was going to get over on me or anybody for that matter, ooh, there's a takedown attempt. He tries to reap the leg, talking about Philip Lynn's. Ngannou holding position here. You can see him weight down, trying to keep Lynn's against the cage so that he doesn't get taken down. But what I was saying is, Sam had to use a bit of intellect if he was going to land on me. He had to use. We had to spar for ooh, there's an overhand from Lynn's. Looked like it may have landed, but Ngannou, again, sort of unfazed for the most part. There's an overhand. Ooh, there was a left hook from Ngannou, and Lynn's is down. Ngannou elects not to throw more punches. Decides to let Herb Dean end it. Herb Dean was really about to let Ngannou start throwing punches, and then he kind of looked up at Herb Dean and was like, nah, dude, what are you doing? Crazy knockout. Oh, man. I don't trust women who are into MMA. I don't trust women that are like very entertained by it. Like my wife likes MMA, don't get me wrong, but like there's sort of like she likes specific fighters, and she likes to understand the technical side of it as best as she can. Like I'll sit here and I'll explain things to her, and she'll be like, "Oh, cool," and like she kind of gets it. Oh yeah, that was a wild left hook from Francis Ngannou that lands right behind the ear on Philip Lynn's. That was a counter hook to Lynn's throwing an overhand right. Herb, if he dies, he dies. Yeah. Herb, if he dies, Dean. Man. But yeah, I don't trust women that are like there's a sweet spot for women who are into MMA, right? And that's kind of where my wife is at, is that sweet spot where I don't find it to be too weird, because you have the woman who doesn't know anything. She just likes, like, she just likes to see dudes fight. And that's really suspicious to me. And I would never trust a woman who's like that, right? And then there's the chicks who are like super uber into it. They may even do it. And those women are fucked up. I've dated a couple of MMA girls in my life. They're always fucked up. You don't want a woman who does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, boxing, especially not one that mixes all those things together. You don't want that. They fucking suck. They're dog shit, you know? You just don't want them. You just don't want them, you know? So, like, Francis Ngannou knocking Linz out, and they show this one girl who has no fucking clue about mixed martial arts, and she's like, ooh, yay, ha! It's like, that bitch. That bitch, I don't trust that bitch. Not one bit. Herb Dean has CTE. Yeah, dude, it's like the dudes that get knocked out, the CTE, like, transfers to his brain instead. They made Francis fight a light heavyweight. And you know what? Now that you mention it, yeah, Oven St. Preux, Ion Kudalaba, yeah, now that you mention it, those are light heavyweights that are or were in the UFC at one point. That's kind of fucked up when you think about it, you know? You telling I know heavyweights. I know dudes that are like 310 pounds that would fight Francis Ngannou on a card like this. They made him fight. They made him fight fucking Philip Linz, a light heavyweight. I was thinking like, wow, the size difference between these two guys is palpable. That's pretty crazy. But, I mean, hey, I guess heavyweight's heavyweight. That's going to happen sometimes. But, I mean, even look at him right now. Ngannou is almost a head taller than Philip Linz. That is pretty crazy. That is pretty fucking crazy, you know? The shit started going down. Letty ruined Scott's life and career. That bitch. I'll never forgive her. I'll never forgive that bitch. That bitch. I'll never forgive that bitch. You know, that's actually a name in Portuguese, is Betch. They say Betch, not Beth, but Betch. Like Betch Correa. She actually fought Ronda Rousey. Man. I gotta sell this thing. It's a silver peace dollar. It's 90% silver. I like these things. I'm I'm starting to get an affinity for peace dollars and Morgans, but specifically peace dollars. These things are real silver dollars that were utilized for paying for shit in the late 1800s and the early 1900s. And I have to say, I'm a big fan of them, but I have to sell this one. You know, I'm reselling stuff. I'm reselling coins and stuff like that now. And I made a purchase that was not the best purchase to make. So even though I like this thing and I want to keep it, I'm like, nah, it's silver. That thing is going to go mad quick. I got to fucking get rid of the thing, you know? I got it for what was under spot at the time. I got it for, I think, I think 58, 59 bucks when it was like 61, 62. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I put 69 on here. I put it in one of these things, and I wrote 69 on it because when I post it to the internet, I'm hoping that it will create kind of a situation in someone's head where they see that 69 and they see that I'm not selling it for 69 and they go, "Oh shit, that thing's worth 69 bucks? Oh fuck, I got to buy this thing." You know, a little bit of interesting, you know, psychology there, a little bit of psychology, trying to create the urgency, you know. We'll see if it works. But, yeah. Did you see Freddie on James Drake's stream? Freddie asked him for money, a role in one of his productions, and if he could move in. That's pretty funny. I got to show you guys what else I got. There's a naked lady under here. I'm addicted to Whatnot. I keep buying a bunch of shit off of Whatnot, and I'm reselling it on the internet. Like it's 1999. I'm reselling it on a shop that I have. Um, so yeah, like I got some literal like it's um yeah, it's fucking a Playboy card that somebody somebody taped a silver grain to, and I have like a handful of them. But anyway, um, yeah, what I was talking about with Freddie, Freddie is geez, look, I know I ain't exactly aging like fine wine here myself, ladies and gentlemen, but Jake Paul is just like, man, that dude is, yeesh. Oh, there's John Jones. I forgot John Jones is gonna be there. Anyway, yeah, with Freddie, like, I wanna believe that he's kind of playing a bit of a character, but I know that character is heavily based off himself. It's kind of like me, like, I don't like creep on women. I can actually, I'm a flirt, and I'm a good flirt at that. If I'm being honest with you, I'm good with women. I'm good at talking to women, but like that whole like, hey, hit on the girls for fish tank thing, that was me trying to kind of just like fuck around a little bit, doing something that I knew was like retarded because that's funny, you know? Um, what was I gonna say? Like, so when it comes to someone like Freddie, it's like I want to give him the benefit of the doubt a little bit, but he is like 36 or 37 and he's still trying to make music work, and it's like, oof, that's a bad place to be. That is a bad place to be in. Yes, sir. Bad place to be in. John Little Girl T levels Jones. Yeah, pretty much. Um but yeah. What was I gonna say? But he got hospitalized, drunk tank again. Yeah. Didn't like. I was actually gonna talk about that. James Drake, right? I don't hate James Drake. I've never spoken to the guy. I'm probably never gonna speak to the guy. I'm not like trying to insert myself into fish tank stuff a ton. I'll talk about it here. That's basically the only place I talk about it, other than the odd tweet on Twitter every now and again, right? But like James Drake is clearly like fake nice guy. Like I used to, speaking of flirting, right? I didn't get good at flirting. I didn't get good at talking to women just naturally. I had to fuck up and fuck up and fuck up and fuck up and fuck up until I started figuring out, oh no, women don't respond well to this thing. They respond better to that. Maybe I should say that type of shit from now on. That is like the classic 8th grade Scott move, is like a girl is going through a crisis. One that I have never spoken to. I probably will never speak to. We're not friends. We don't even have friends that are friends. Oh, excuse me. And there's no reason for me to take an interest in this girl. And yet I'm like, hey, do you have Jessica's number? I heard she's going through a rough time. I just want to check in on her. Just trying to be a good friend. Just trying to be a buddy. Just trying to be a pal. You know, I'm just trying to check. I just want to make sure she's okay because, everybody needs a friend sometimes. That's like, it's like fucking James Drake. You think I don't fucking see what you're up to, man? You think we don't see what the fuck that was? You fucking dirty dog, you motherfucker. You fucking jeez. Classic case of pretty boy doesn't need game, so he doesn't realize that what he's doing is like retarded. He's a pretty boy. The girls are flocking to him, so he doesn't have to go to the girls. And he's like, oh gee, I wanna try and talk to this girl, but like she hasn't chased me down yet. What do I do? Hey, Freddie, do you have her number? I just want to be your friend. I just want to be your friend. I just want to be your pal, you know? Scott just kept trying new options in his Mass Effect dialogue wheel until he learned to talk to women. Literally. Yes. And that's what you have to do. If you're not a pretty boy and if you're not naturally charismatic, unlike me, I was born. They call me Mr. Charisma. Okay? They call me Mr. Risma, all right? Fucking but if you're not born with like natural charisma, you got to learn how to talk to women, you know? And that's what the game is. Like me, I've never under any circumstances read a PUA book. I've fuck that shit, get it away from me, keep it away from me, right? But like you just kind of learn what works and what doesn't, you know? And unfortunately, that means you're going to have to make a shit ton of mistakes before you start figuring out what really works, you know? It's Kamaru Usman behind him. There's a lot of UFC guys that are just hanging around. It's kind of funny. Oh, excuse me. We got some hoes. Got some hoes hanging around. Getting ready for this next fight right now. But like the way it is, you know, like you got to learn what works and what doesn't. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we're in a predicament right now where like when you go on Twitter, at least when I go on Twitter, the algorithm shows me a ton of stuff about like men aren't approaching women, men aren't dating women, they're not getting married, they're not doing this, they're not doing that. It's because Me Too started even before Me Too. Even before Me Too, you had a lot of bullshit, but Me Too really brought it into the mainstream. The idea that like if you're a guy and you talk to a girl who is not like completely and totally like, "Hello, how are you? Come over here and talk to me, please." Like if you do that, you're a rapist or you're a creep or you're a this or you're a that, you know? And that's part of the reason why like I'm open with the fact that yeah, I flirt sometimes. Like I don't mean anything by it. I'm a married man who loves his wife more than anyone or anything other than maybe Jesus, right? But like yeah, if I'm being honest with you, I don't have that much of a reason to talk to a bunch of different women. So if there's a woman who I am friendly with, like Kaylee, right? Or not that I like flirt with Kaylee, right? But I do call her pretty every now and again, right? Well, that's flirting, but you get the idea, right? That's someone who I haven't talked to in a while, but she's chill. I like her vibe, and she's cool, and she's fun. She's easygoing, which is kind of covered under chill. There's other women too. Fucking I can't remember who they are right now. Because that's the thing. It's not that big of a fucking deal. It's not like I'm trying to like really get with these women. It's just like an off comment in the middle of a conversation. It's just talking about something that like whatever. Like hey, this stream that we're gonna do, I think it would be good if we did this, and then bang, just throw something cute in there. There's nothing wrong with that. And we've become a puritanical culture in a couple of different ways for the same reasons, but in a couple of different ways. Or I guess in one way for a couple of different reasons, I guess you could say. Regardless, we've become a puritanical culture where you have women who are just like jealous and bitter, and they're ornery and they're heinous, they're vile women, treacherous and fucking just like fucking they suck, who they can't take not being the center of attention. Either that, or they're mad about like their dad, or they're mad about like their crush in the 7th grade not asking them to go to the dance, or some other shit like that. And because of that, they're fucked up, And you also have guys who they may not be getting it the way they want to. They feel like they should be drowning in puss, but they're not. It makes them bitter, makes them mad. So instead of doing what I did and fucking up until I got it right, and like making sure that I'm not like completely repellent, their move is to be like, actually, no, the guys who get pussy are wrong. The guys that are good with women are wrong. They're bad guys. You shouldn't, they're bad guys, and they're doing bad things, and they're pieces of shit. You're a piece of shit. Like, I'm not saying it's like all guys that are doing that either, but there's like quite a few of them that do. You know? Tyron Woodley was one of the least likable champions in UFC history. I didn't pay close attention to Tyron Woodley. I remember when I almost called him Ngannou. I remember when what's his face? Usman. I remember when Usman took the belt from him. I remember that. And Usman was not a likable champion, in my opinion. I give him credit. He fought a lot. You know, we don't have champions that do a ton of fighting right now. But what's his face? He fought a lot. Kamaru Usman fought a lot. He fought a lot. Anyway, in addition to that activity, I gained a lot of respect for him with how he did against Khamzat Chimaev. I thought that was really cool, the way he really took it to Khamzat. And other than that, though, like, he was just not very likable to me. I did not love the hell out of that guy. I thought he was fucking annoying, and he sucked, you know? And he was the kind of guy who he won less on how good of a fighter he was and more on strategy, which, like, you can't fault a guy for that. A guy who's winning fights, he's winning fights, and that's that. Even someone like Habib or, you know, Khamzat or Islam, dudes that are kind of known for when they feel like they're a little bit overwhelmed, they just hold on for dear life and they go for control time, right? Like, even those guys, it's like, well, they're just doing what they can to win in the confines of the rules. I don't fault them for trying to win the fight by any means necessary. I just think it sucks, and I don't really like them, and I think the rules should be changed, you know? In the case of someone like Kamaru Usman, I don't think there was a rule that you could have changed for that. He didn't do anything that was, like, gaming the system or anything like that. It was just annoying to see him. He's facing a striker, he's going to wrestle. He's facing a wrestler, he's going to strike. You never really saw him go after the striker like that. Excuse me. You know, he did that once with what's his face, Jorge Masvidal. You know, Jorge Masvidal. Fucking A. I'm gonna tell you about that after. But fucking he did that with Jorge Masvidal, and Masvidal was only at best like Masvidal should have never fought for a title. He was not a title kind of guy, you know. The reason I repeated that and I was like, Jorge Masvidal, is because I can't stand when white people do... I can't stand two things. One, when somebody talks like you're supposed to know somebody or like they know somebody on a first-name basis. And then two, white people or just people who are not from a certain culture who overpronounce words from a different culture, you know? Like me, when I speak Portuguese, I pronounce it in a Portuguese accent. I don't speak that much Portuguese yet, but I speak enough. I'm not going to be like, você, even that. I'm not going to be like, você e gostosa. I'm not going to be like that. It's going to be like, você é gostosa. You know, that's how you can flirt with a girl in Portuguese, by the way. That means, you know, you are hot, you know, gostosa. Like, I'm going to say it that way, but that's because I'm straight up speaking another fucking language. You know, I'm speaking another language. So that's one thing, to use the accent, right? Especially because Portuguese is a semi-tonal language, you know? There's a difference between a word like pão and a word like pau, right? Pão is bread. Pau is penis. So, you know, there's that. You don't want to order pau at the Brazilian bakery. The bottom line of what I'm trying to say with that, right, is like, it's annoying when you have some dude who's like, hey, man, you want to go get some tacos? And it's some dude from, like, Nebraska. It's like, dude, shut up, right? And I had this woman, right, she would do this thing where she would say names as though I'm supposed to know who they are. Like, there was this person we knew who was going to be fighting for the Bare Knuckle MMA, Game Bread, Bare Knuckle MMA, which is owned by Jorge Masvidal. And she was like, oh, hey, did you see Joe is going to be fighting for George's card? And I was like, who's George? She's like, George? Masvidal? Like she said it like that. Like not only was she like, you don't know who George Masvidal is, but she also had to be like Masvidal, as though she's born in like Little Havana or something like that. That's that shit that's so frustrating to me. It's autistic rant. I know, autistic rant, but it's like, man, you gotta be fucking kidding me with that. I can't stand when people do that, man. Ronda Rousey is a fucking battle axe, dude. I could not imagine being Travis Brown being married to that. That is fucking bonkers. You know? Fuck that. Are Brazilian women horny for white dudes to speak Portuguese if they have money? Yes. Yeah. Pretty much it. Pretty much it. You know? Like, Brazil, I have not been to Brazil yet. I'm going to be going there sometime in the next year. But the way my wife explains it, Brazil does not love America, but Americans who come to Brazil, they get treated very well. Because Brazilians are naturally very warm and friendly. And for me, someone who was born in the United States, warm and friendly is not what I am, and it's not what we are. So like when like I'll go to a party with a ton of Brazilians at it, and like they'll be trying to like make me comfortable, and it won't feel like I'm being made comfortable. It will feel like I'm in a zoo. I'm a zoo exhibit to these people. That's almost kind of how it feels. And that's just a difference in culture, both like nationally as well as regionally, where like if you ask me, "Hey man, you want a beer?" and I'm like, "No, thank you." That's that. There is no, come on, have a fucking beer, dude. Like, I mean, you can have that, right? That happens, you know. We bust each other's balls, but that's the thing, is it's busting each other's balls. If a Bostonian walks up to you and is like, "Hey kid, you want a fucking beer?" and you're like, "Nah, I'm good," you'll be like, what are you, fucking nun, dude? Come on, take a beer, dude. Hang out for a little while. What are you doing, kid? Like, we'll bust balls. That's one thing. Brazilians are like, they'll offer like 5 times, like, "Hey, you want a beer? Oh, are you sure? Hey, we got beer. We can have a beer. It's okay. Hey, come on. Why don't we have a beer? Come on." Well, you know where they are, okay? They're right here, all right? And then 20 minutes later, "Hey, you want that beer yet?" Like, that's how Brazilians are. You know, so like if you go to Brazil, like they're just a really like warm and friendly people. You know, um, and like the fact that you're an American who probably has money, yeah, you'd probably be a little bit easier for you to get a gal pal down there. You know, they also do prostitution down there. I guess I don't know if it's fully legal or not, but if it's not, it's one of those things the cops look the other way on, you know? Colby was not smooth on the mic, but him calling Brazil a dump was honestly a top 5 moment on the mic. For sure it was. That was fucking like crazy. That was crazy funny, you know? Ronda Rousey is the saltiest loser in MMA history. Quite literally, yes. 100%. I can see Brazilians being pleasant if you follow their customs. Well, yeah, that's anywhere. You know, that's anywhere. I don't know about prostitutes. I mean, there's definitely like Brazil, specifically Rio, or if I was to pronounce it in a Portuguese or a Brazilian accent, it would be Rio. Um, yeah, there's some things that I just like. It's whatever comes out first. Sometimes I'm like Rio. Other times I'm like Rio. You know, Rio is tough because the way Rio de Janeiro sounds is like, yeah, I don't love the way that sounds. You know, so it's kind of tough for me when I'm gonna say that to be like Rio. You know, but I'll usually say Rio. But like, yeah, Rio de Janeiro is like that's a pretty big prostitution place. You could get a lot of shit there, you know, including ladies of the night, you know. Man, on my way to Brazil. Are you on your oh, I think you're just joking. I think you're just joking. Or are you? Are you literally on your way to Brazil right now? Man, there's just something about this coin, man. I love the hell out of it, you know. I have another one that's also a 1926. That's why I'm getting rid of this one, you know. But it's just like, man, you know. It's fun to like this is a nice coin. It's substantial, you know. It feels good in the hand, man. But anyway, have you thought about moving to Brazil and becoming a prostitute, Scott? Every day of my life. I think the question is, have you ever thought about not doing that? And the answer would be no. I don't get Jake Paul's appeal in 2026. At first, I got the novelty and influencer boxing, but now he's just a boxer and not a very good one. Yeah, I mean that's probably why he's not fighting a couple of times a year anymore. I mean it's 2026 and there's been no fight news for him. He's also doing more promoting right now. You know, and I think that's gonna be his. I think that's gonna be the thing that he does when he stops fighting, which I would assume is gonna be within the next 2 to 5 years, if not already. You know, for one thing, Jake Paul, I think he's like 28, 29, right? Um, don't get me wrong, like you can have a career that spans into your late 30s in boxing, but I don't know if Jake Paul is going to be the one. I don't know if Jake Paul is going to be that guy, you know. But I guess we will. I guess we will see. You know. Speaking of people, right? Speaking of people who speaking of people who lost once and then left the sport, Gina Carano is one of those guys. She was on a tear. Gina Carano was going to be the first Ronda Rousey, essentially, is what the situation was going to be. Like, she was making waves in the MMA world as like a pretty woman. Like, Gina Carano is hotter than Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, like I said, battle axe. Like, oosh, yeesh. Was never attractive. Was never attractive, you know? I mean, like, look at her. She's in her 40s and she looks at like that nice. I know she's got tons of makeup on and shit like that, but it's like, you know, she's aging pretty decently, you know? Um, but what was I gonna say? Yeah, Gina Carano, like she's married to a Jewish guy. Anyway, Gina Carano, she was like on a tear, and then she faced Chris Cyborg, and Cyborg fucked her up. And yeah, that's when Gina left. Gina was like, "All right, I'm out of here." You know, there was no like, "All right, well, let's see who else I can beat." She was just like, "Nah, I'm done. I'm done with this shit." Gina Carano got the Brazers mid 2000s phenotype. Yes, yes, she does. She definitely does. It's funny seeing mid 2000s styles because there's been nothing like them um since then, and there was nothing like them before. That was like something that you just did not see. Even with like more specifically the mid 2000s, like I'm not emo, I'm just like a normie kind of style. That was like a that was like a it was just different. Hold on one sec. Oh man, sorry, I'm trying to fucking they have tail of the bet. They don't have there's way oh, Kenny Florian, nice. Kenny Florian's from Massachusetts. He's a Boston guy. And he was doing stuff for the UFC. I guess not anymore though. I guess not anymore. He was I believe he was a commentator and potentially an analyst, but um man. Anyway, there's too much gambling out in the world today, bro. It's insane. Even Whatnot has gambling. Even Whatnot does gambling. Like I already fucking sold it, but like I got a half-ounce silver coin for like $9. Those things right now you could get 40 to 50 for them. I resold the fuck out of that. Um getting into antiques and reselling, it's fun. It's kind of new for me, but I've always had an interest in it, and I'm finally starting to get a groove where I kind of understand how I should do things and what certain things are going to be worth and stuff like that. I'm doing coins, and I feel like I might want to start getting into cards too. But I'm gonna see what I can do with that. Um, what was I gonna say? But yeah, like even whatnot is like there's gambling where like you'll have somebody who you bet for a spot on like a map or something like that, or not a map, but like there was this one guy. He had like a board with a bunch of sticky notes on it numbered 1 to like 50, and you would bet for one spot and you'd win, and he'd be like, all right, which spot do you want? And you'd be like, number 52. I just said 1 to 50, but you get the idea. You get the idea. Number 12. I want number 12. And then like whatever was on that sticky note is what you get. So you get shit that like most of the time it's going to be bullshit. Like I did one, and I got a wheat penny is what I got. I got a wheat penny from a dude on Whatnot for like $22. I paid $22 for a penny that wasn't even rare. But the idea was that like it might not have been a penny. It could have been an ounce of silver that I paid $22 for. You know? Like I'm not addicted to Whatnot. I'm not like actually addicted to Whatnot. It's just I'm making mistakes on there because it's a new thing to me. And like I'm figuring it all out. I'm getting it all figured out, But what I was saying is there's like just way too much fucking gambling all the time, everywhere, no matter what. And it's like, yo, dude, that sucks, man. That sucks. Ricky Barrett, 3282. Some chick won with a capsule lock in the UFC tonight. Capsule lock. I don't know what a capsule lock is, but I did see a situation where somebody had a body triangle on somebody else. It was actually, funny enough, a women's MMA fight. Somebody had a body triangle, and the girl who was in the body triangle stepped over the leg and then used that to create a calf slicer. I'm curious if that's what the capsule lock was, because that was pretty crazy to see. I thought it was AI at first, the way everything went down. I legit thought that was an AI video. I was like, that's fake. That's fucking fake. What are you talking about? This is a joke. That's fake. And then, no, actually, it was real, Gable Stevenson is making his debut on the McGregor versus Holloway 2 card. McGregor Holloway 2? When's that happening? We'll be watching that for sure. Jeez Louise. Yeah, that was what I was talking about. You see, I didn't know that was a capsule lock, or what that's called, what they call that. That's pretty cool, it's funny. You can be a black belt in jiu-jitsu like I am and still not know what the hell certain things are. That's just like the nature of jiu-jitsu. It's funny the way that is, the way that works. But we got Mike Perry versus Nate Diaz next, and I'm curious how this one's going to go. Man. It happened to me when I was training a long time ago. It hurts like hell. Oh yeah, I mean it's basically it. You see, I've never put someone in one, and I've never been in one, so I couldn't tell you 100%. But what I saw when I was watching it was maybe it kind of behaved like a calf slicer, but I don't know. Would you say that? Would you say that it's kind of just like a calf slicer? Where specifically did it hurt? I'm curious. Oh, excuse me. Diaz wins by submission, probably. Wouldn't surprise me. But that's the thing is, Nate Diaz doesn't go out of his way to grapple. Nate Diaz would rather box a lot of the time. It's just that like if he's on the ground, he's probably gonna do better. Like there's not a lot of dudes that are as good as him on the ground, even in the UFC today. You can see him in some of the like. I believe it was Nate Diaz versus Caro Parisian. If not, it was his brother Nick. Oh Oh no, that wasn't even fucking. Damn. Just Nate's transition game is really what makes him that good. Is like he's able to move, he's able to make you move, and he's able to land while it's happening too. Is one of the cool things. There's fucking Big John McCarthy over there. Just looking around right now. Excuse me. I don't have a ton to talk about right this second, so I apologize if I'm a little quiet. Oh fuck. Only common opponent they have, off the top of my head, is Cerrone, who Diaz beat and Perry lost to. Interesting. That is like. Jeez, bro. Sorry. No, fuck it. It sucks being sick. Even outside of the headache that I had and the bellyache that I had when I first started this stream, I have a cold. I have a head cold in the middle of May. It's like what the fuck, dude? This fucking gay. That's what's fun about this. That's why we're watching this tonight and not the UFC, which actually has a Sam Hyde fan fighting in the main event. Arnold Allen is like a very open Sam Hyde fan. He loves Sam's content. We were actually trying to work to get him on Blood Games too, but that got shot down. Oh, excuse me. It was me and Xavier, right? We were trying to figure out who we. It wasn't just me and Xavier, but like, it was like I was talking to Xavier about like, hey, there's this dude, he's an active UFC fighter, and he's actually kind of a somebody. He's not just like some fucking guy who just made it in. He's like, he's kind of in the, he's in that upper half. He's in that upper half. He's a known quantity. People know about him. They watch him, famous. He's got clout, right? If you want to use gay words like that. But, like, I could hit this dude up and see if he wants to come out for Blood Games. And he was like, oh, fuck yeah, that'd be so awesome if we could get a UFC guy to, like, throw on gloves and just beat the hell out of us. We were going to have Arnold Allen come out, and we were going to have him, like, do something. Some kind of, like, hey, you get to beat on us kind of activity. And we were going to fold that into Blood Games somehow. Is what was going to happen. And that would have been really, really good for a couple of different reasons. One of which is that the MMA crowd would have gotten wind of that, and they may have been like, oh, fucking, what's this fish tank thing? Maybe I should check that out. But like, we just got told no, we just got told no. That's what happened. So it is what it is. It is what it is. Jeez. All the guys I play video games with are on Discord right now. And I'm sitting here with you guys. Oh no, there's literally one dude. Never mind. Fuck. They had an Xavier TTS voice on season 5. That's pretty cool. I guess they're doing a Dungeons and Dragons thing as well, is what I hear, I would love, like, I'm on my way out of this region, I'm not just going to be able to, like, drive 45 minutes. It's Stitch Duran. I'm not just going to be able to drive 45 minutes to get to Rhode Island anymore. And that kind of, like, so knowing that, I'm kind of like, fuck, man, maybe I should hit these dudes up and just say, hey, what do you got going on, man? I want to be a part of it, Like, by the end of this year, I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. So there's a piece of me that's like, yo, I should text Schultz and see if they need help with Extreme Peace 2. Oh, hey, like that D&D thing. I played D&D for a couple of years, and it was fun and it was funny. The shit that I did with my boys. Like, I don't know, maybe I'd be good for this D&D thing. Maybe it'd be funny. Maybe it'd be fun. Haha. I want to be a part of that shit again, you know? Not for like clout or anything like that. Like if there was real clout for someone like me to get out of that stuff, I would have gotten it by now. You know, not for the money either, because they didn't pay me a shit ton anyway, and like I would have done a lot of the stuff for free anyway. But like just because it's cool and I had a lot of fun doing that stuff, you know? So it's like like that's what's so that's why I'm a little bit bitter about Blood Games 2. You know, I am a little bit bitter about Blood Games 2 is because that was supposed to be like me ending my involvement with all that stuff on my terms in like what was going to be a crazy fun and cool way. And it just shit the bed, you know? And I'm not going to point fingers. I'm not going to assign blame. I know there's shit going on right now. I'm not even going to comment on all that, right? But it's just like, man, oh, Chris Lieben's judging. Interesting. Nice. Chris Lieben's an OG. If you know about Chris Lieben, I trust your opinion, you know? I trust your opinion on MMA. But yeah, it sucks, man. So many cool guys and so many cool things that could have happened. You know, that would have been awesome to get Mayhem. You think Jason Mayhem Miller would have been a bad get for Blood Games 2? You think someone like that would have been a bad get for Blood Games 2? He would have had a fucking blast, dude. He would have loved the shit out of that. You know. He's got just the right personality to go in there and be like, I don't know what's going on, but shit, this is fucking fun. I got to whack people with swords. Fuck yeah, dude. Like, he's got just the right personality for it, you know? Arnold Allen, again, somebody who's clouded in the UFC, who would have brought new eyes from outside of the internet edgy, like, fucking Cookie Monster PJ pants wearing crowd. You know, Cookie Monster pajama pants at Walmart crowd. You know, that those guys that watch Fish Tank. You know, like that would have been so good. That would have been such a great get. And it was just like, nah. It's like fucking hey, all right, guys, fucking like let it fail. Thousands watch Scott in secret. Exactly. They're just too afraid. They're just too afraid. You know, it's like I'm the Nick Fuentes of my generation. You know, a lot of people are too afraid to say they watch me. They call me Hick Fuentes. Hick Fuentes. Yeah, you can tell the place is not full. You can tell the place is not full. Wherever you can see a light in the crowd, that is an empty seat. And they do that because I think they're hoping that it'll look more full, that it'll give you the inkling that there's people there. But no, it just tells you that there's nobody there. Man. Yes, they call me Mick Fuentes. They call me Mick Fuentes. Anyway. Ooh, a teep from Nate right out the gate. Ooh, overhand from Mike Perry, who already has Nate pushed up against the cage. Ooh, there is a left hook from Mike Perry. Mike Perry coming out to get it right away. Ooh, that was a nice fucking... You don't see that kind of thing in MMA. Nick actually used a fucking a slide by. That's crazy to see that. You don't see that type of shit in MMA. That's like pure grappling that you just saw there. That was such a small movement that you would have missed if you didn't know what you were looking for. But man, that is like I thought that was so cool to see. You know, he got out of that situation using that. So we have Perry, who you can tell and a beautiful throw from Nate Diaz, but Mike Perry, I almost called him Nick. Mike Perry is out, and because of that, Nate. What the fuck? I can't get the names right. Nate is on his back, trying to push off Mike Perry. Mike Perry trying to stack him, landing a couple of punches. This is a good fight so far. Oh shit, we had an armbar attempt. Oh, a leg entanglement. We have a leg entanglement. We're going to see if Nate can do anything with this. He's got the 50-50 position right now. Doesn't look like he's actually doing anything with it. I think he's just trying to, keep Mike at bay, try to slow everything down, and try to find a position where he can start to work from, Looks like he might be trying to target that leg again. No, he lets it go, and Mike Perry is back up to his feet. He gets up first, and Nate is back on his back. Mike Perry waves him to come up. And here we go. It's pretty clear that Mike wants to make this. This is a 1 of 5. This is a 5-round fight, what we have here right now. That is pretty crazy to see. I didn't know that this was going to be. I thought this was the main event, truthfully. Like the way they have it set up on the fight cards, it goes Rousey, Carano, and then these two. Anyway. You see Mike Perry kind of slowing down a little bit. I think he knows he's, this. Oh, that was a good body shot from Perry. Working in on the inside. There was an uppercut to the diaphragm that bent Nate over. You could tell he did not like that. You see, Mike Perry, most of his fights recently have been in bare knuckle boxing. They do either 3 or 5 2-minute rounds. There's another body shot. Man, Nate's got to get that jab pumping. He's got to get that jab pumping. He's got to get that teep working. Another body shot, and you can tell Nate is not having a good time in there right now. I want to see this go into round 2, but we got 2 minutes, and honestly, Mike is kind of picking his shots. He's taking his time. I want to see Nate give it back a little bit. I want to see kind of a back and forth type of deal right now. I don't just want to see Mike Perry beat the hell out of Nate Diaz. Got a couple of jabs coming in from Nate. I'd like to see a left come down the middle at some point. And that's what Nate's got to do, is he's got to keep Mike at the end of his jab, because Nate is the much longer guy. In fact, you can see Nate is almost a head taller than Mike Perry. If he keeps that jab pumping, Mike's not going to be able to land that body shot that he's been utilizing, I'm also just realizing right now it's lefty versus lefty. I don't know if Mike Perry's just a switch hitter or not. There's a right hook cross combination from Nate Diaz. You see Nate's slowing it. That's the thing, is Nate's slowing it down right now. Not only is Mike Perry slowing it down, ooh, nice 3-piece combo, and Mike Perry is opened up. He is bleeding a little bit, what looks like underneath the eye. See, that's the power of the jab, You keep that fucking jab pumping and you're good. Oh, hey, kick from Mike Perry. Deflected. There's a right hook from Mike Perry. But what I was saying is Mike Perry, most of his fights over the last 3 to 5 years have been bare knuckle boxing matches, and the pace in bare knuckle boxing is so much different from MMA. It is so much harder, so much quicker. So Mike, he came out really aggressive. He wanted to close that distance and try to bully Nate, and it was working. But the thing is, you can only keep that up for so long. And eventually Mike had to cool it, Ooh, we have an arm drag from Mike Perry. Again, some actually really nice technical grappling here. Shit that you don't usually see in mixed martial arts. You're seeing from these guys, We saw a slide by. We saw an arm drag into a position where Mike Perry landed a couple of elbows. That's sick. That's fucking sick, dude. Perry is looking better than I thought he would. Oh yeah, they're both in killer shape. The way they look. It's interesting because I don't think these guys had drug testing the way that the UFC does, but I could be wrong about that. Oh, fucking A, dude. Fucking A, dude. Oh, man. There we go. Oh, man. Yes. Everyone is actually tuned into the Scott live stream instead of filling seats at the event. Exactly. I'm actually pulling viewership from this thing. Chris the Crippler. Yes, Chris the Crippler Lieben. Anyway, ooh, jab to the body followed by a hook to the head from Nate Diaz. That was a nice move, you know. We have Mike Perry using more of that pressure though, you know. Ooh, a Superman punch from Mike Perry. You don't tend to see a ton of Superman punches anymore, you know. Couple of shots from Nate Diaz there. I think I just saw Nate try to parry a jab to the body, and he's got to be very careful with that because if Mike picks up on that, he's going to fake to the body and then he's going to go to the head, you know? You don't want to parry jabs to the body. If a jab comes to your head, you can parry that, right? Which is basically to knock it out of the way with your hand, right? You almost like high-five it. If somebody goes to the body, you want to use your forearm. You want to move that inward to try and deflect that, you know? You would literally rather take a body shot. Ooh, two hooks to the head from Nate Diaz, followed by a jab on the way out of what was a hairy situation. There's a knee followed by an elbow attempt from Mike Perry. There's a rear hook followed by an uppercut. Ooh, Nate in a little bit of trouble here. Those uppercuts were doing some damage there. Ooh, a fucking downward elbow. You don't see that every day either in MMA. Oh, man. Mike Perry picking his shots, standing at range, being able to just fucking land whenever he wants to. Diaz looks tired, but it's hard to tell with him. Yeah, I think he's been getting tagged to the body and pretty hard this entire time. I think he is probably tired, you know? It's one thing to have a killer gas tank. It's another thing to get hit in the diaphragm a ton. You know, hitting the diaphragm, hitting the liver, you know, just hitting the body anywhere. That's going to have an effect on your ability to breathe, you know? And it does a couple of things. For one thing, you start cramping up, you know? But then in addition to that, when you get hit, especially if you're not breathing right, all of the air escapes from your lungs. The air is pushed out of your lungs, which means for a moment you're not breathing the way you want to. There was a kick to the head attempt from that back take position, that standing back take position in Mike Perry, and it did not land, you know, and now Mike Perry is against the cage because Nick was able to walk him and then, you know, use the cage to turn. Looks like Nick Diaz, what the fuck? I keep calling him Nick. Looks like Nate Diaz is doing a little bit of bleeding as well, you know? Got some blood in the eye, what it looks like. Not very good. There's a hook attempt from Perry, deflected. Cross the body. Ooh, that was a hook followed by a knee to the head, and I think both of them may have landed at least a little bit. We now have Nate Diaz working from the bottom. He was trying to go for an armbar, didn't quite work. He's got to be very careful. He's got Mike Perry in the knee shield right now. He's got to be careful with that, you know. He's got to do something because he's just taking damage, right? Ooh, that was a hard shot from Mike Perry on that ground and pound, and Mike Perry backs off, lets Nate stand up. Yeah, Perry is doing a pretty good job of beating Nate up right now, you know. You know, Nate's got a little too much pride to to give up, you know. A lot of blood on Nate Diaz, including even the back. Oh, there's another hard body shot. There's a hard hook from Mike Perry. Slapping hook from Mike Perry, sending Nate Diaz across the cage. Nate tries his best to throw a side kick to the head. It does not quite land. And another hard shot from Mike Perry. We have Nate kind of showing that, oh, man. I mean, Mike knows where his bread is buttered. You know, he's going for that hook to the body, and when Nate is moving to try and brace for it, he's throwing uppercuts to where, Nate is bracing, 10 seconds left in this round 2. There's another shot to the body, and man, Nate Diaz just hanging on. Oh, there is wow, at the buzzer. There was a knee to the head. Nate Diaz goes down, and the buzzer goes, or the bell, excuse me. Nate's head has to be ringing in pain 24/7, man. Oh yeah, he has taken lumps. He has taken lumps and bumps. That is for sure. Man. There's some guys who just have crazy longevity, Some dudes, their longevity is insane. Mike Perry is kind of one of those dudes. I think Nate is a little bit older than Mike Perry though, right? Let's see about this. Mike Perry. Born in 1991, so he ain't that old. He's 34. He ain't that old. Now, Nate Diaz, I believe, is 40. If not, he's just about. And they are calling this on the stool. I don't know if it was doctor's stoppage or if it was that Nate Diaz did not want to answer the call. I would assume it's doctor's stoppage, knowing Nate Diaz. Yeah, 85. Oh, dude, Nate's 41. Nate's 41 years old. Yeah, so it's not even a longevity thing, It's not even a longevity thing. This is a dude. He's fighting someone who's 35. Like Mike Perry. Mike Perry, if he was an elite fighter, he would still be like, Mike Perry is an elite fighter. Don't get me wrong, but like if he was an elite fighter in the UFC, he would be in a title run right now. He would like if he was in that upper echelon in the UFC, he would be holding a title right now. Oh no, that knee did not land. He just kind of fell over is what happened. He fell over after a push. Okay. All right. But anyway, like the point I'm making is like there's 35-year-old UFC champs. There's 36, 37-year-old UFC champs, Mike Perry is not even old by the standard of MMA, No Conor McGregor trilogy for you? No, guess not. Which is unfortunate because that would have been a cool fight. Yeah, I want to look into Max Holloway versus McGregor though. We also got to look into what's his face, the fucking guy, Mayhem. We got to look into Mayhem as well. Curious about this. It's going to be July 11th. Okay. All right. I'll be ready for that one. We'll be ready for that one, ladies and gentlemen, Now, I want to see because somebody asked me, was like Jason Miller legit, or was he just, like a personality? And I want to know. Un momento. Where's his fucking record? So let's see who he's fought. So yeah, I mean, his third fight is against Chael Sonnen. He loses that, but that's what I'm talking about. Is like your third fight is against Chael Sonnen, the undefeated, never lost a round. Like that's what I'm talking about. Like the MMA world was so small back then. These are dudes who, even if they're not legends yet, they will be, and they have to fight each other because there's just not that many dudes to fight. He fought Tim Kennedy, which was a name, back in the day. He lost to him as well. He fought George St. Pierre. He fought Egan Inoue. He lost to George, right? Frank Trigg lost. Jake Shields lost. He fought Sakuraba, won. Like the thing about Mayhem is that his career didn't really take off the way it was supposed to. Like him making it to the UFC was going to represent him like sort of stepping, like, because like you have these dudes like and you can say what you want about him, like he is an MMA legend and he was extremely extremely talented, but he did lose to a lot of guys who were huge names. Like, there's no shame in losing to George St. Pierre. There's no shame in that at all. Chael Sonnen, no shame in that at all. But like him going into the UFC in like 2010, 2011, that was going to be a situation where he was able to fight and like he was think about it, right? Think about it. You have dudes like George St. Pierre who, like, in 2013 he semi-retired and he came back, but you also have dudes like Michael Bisping, who we know Michael Bisping is a guy who won the UFC belt with one eye, and he did that in like 2018. Like, Michael Bisping had been fighting since like 2003, 2004. As an example. There's a lot of guys out there that you might see them around, but they won't really hit their stride till later on in their career. And I think that's what, would have happened with, I think that's what would have happened with Jason Miller, if he was able to make it work in the UFC, and unfortunately he didn't, I mean, like, let's see. Let's see about his because I'm curious. Oh, he's a yellow belt in Taekwondo. Oh boy. Yeah, he fought Michael Bisping in 2011. Michael Bisping was somebody in the sport, and he was considered to be one of the better guys, but like he didn't win a championship for another 7 years, and then he had to retire shortly after that. He lost it to GSP when GSP came back, and then after that he was like, "All right, guys, I'm done. All right, Michael Bisping out." CB Dollaway, who was no joke back in the day, excuse me. And then he was released, if Carano can avoid being taken down, she probably has a good chance. If Carano can if Carano can avoid being taken down, she's going to win. She can't kick. She's got to use boxing, She cannot kick. There is a bit of hubris, there's a bit of pride that a lot of MMA fighters have, where they don't think, hey, maybe I should avoid the tools that this person is going to use against me. If I'm going to throw kicks and this person's going to catch a kick and take me down, maybe I shouldn't throw kicks. Instead of thinking that way, the pride and the hubris that a lot of MMA fighters have, it tells them, hey, you know what I should do? I should just kick harder. I should, I bet when I kick this guy, it's going to be like nothing he's ever experienced before. And when I kick him, his leg's going to fucking fall off, dude. And because of that, I don't have to worry about having my kicks caught, because this dude, I'm going to kick him, his leg's going to fall off, he's going to be hopping around on one leg like, oh my God, my leg. Fucking like that is the way that a lot of guys think, and that's the way a lot of people think, It's not just hubris either, it's nerves as well. Like, there's a great example. There was a woman, Kat Zingano. She was like supposed to be the one that was going to beat Ronda Rousey back in the day. Like, everyone was talking about, she's going to beat Ronda. She's going to beat Ronda. It's going to happen, dude. It's going to be crazy. She's going to beat Ronda. And in the first seconds of the fight, Kat runs out and attempts a flying knee, George St. Pierre's, George Masvidal style, before George Masvidal was even in the UFC. I don't think George is in the UFC at this time. And I don't even know if this took place in the UFC, the Kat Zingano Ronda Rousey fight. But hey, either way though, like, what I'm saying is, for some weird reason, Kat Zingano thought it would be a good idea to run straight at the person whose entire strategy and game plan involves somebody running towards them so that they can use that momentum against them. And sure enough, the flying knee didn't land. She ended up taken down. I'm pretty sure she got caught mid-air and thrown. hip throw. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And then there was an arm bar, not even 10 seconds later. It happens sometimes. It happens. The way people do things, you know, it is what it is, you know. I really don't want to get rid of this thing, man. I really don't want to get rid of this thing. I said I was going to sell it, but like I have this weird feeling like, nah, I shouldn't get rid of it, you know? Like lucky coin type vibes is how I feel. I'd love to, because me, like, I already have a 1926 and I can already see some imperfections on this thing. I want to see if I can buff this thing out so that it's shiny, or, you know, as shiny as I can get it. You know, I want to see if I can. I want to see if I can polish this thing, because when it's something that I know I'm gonna keep and I don't give a fuck about, meaning like, you know, the value, right? If I don't give a fuck about the value, then I don't care. Like, I'll tank the value by cleaning it, because when you clean a coin, that actually tanks the numismatic value. Excuse me. But anyway. We have Ronda Rousey versus Gina Carano up next. We are going to see how that works. Temosa. Sorry, I'm looking at shitter here. Looking at my shitter. Now I'm looking at my Instagram. Anyway, crazy that Carano lost 100 pounds. She was thick. Yeah, I remember that. You know, she doesn't have a body that looks very good. Thick too is the thing. That's kind of. We have what looks like Walmart brand P Diddy and Drake sitting next to each other. That's pretty insane. I have no idea who those guys were. Anyway, oh yeah, like, she doesn't have the kind of body that looks good thick either, you know? Like, that's one thing I miss that's coming back, is like, not everybody wants to be thick. Like, I have a wife who, she's curvy, right? She's got a very nice figure, you know, hourglass. She's got thick thighs. You know, like not to like describe my wife physically too much. I try to keep my wife away from the camera, you know, for obvious reasons. But my wife has a really nice body, and it's because she is able to like she looks good with the hourglass figure. But like, there's a lot of women out there who were like, they didn't have that kind of body, who were like, I need a fat ass. I need a fat ass so the black guys will like me. You know, no, but like, the beauty standards changed as to where you have a lot of women who are like, no, I got to get thick. And all that happened was they got fat. You know, like, their bodies were not made to carry weight like that. So because of that, the weight did not put itself on in an appropriate way. You know, you can tell my wife is thick, but she's not fat. You know, she's not like she's not blubbery. She's firm. You know, it's naturally like okay that she's like that. But when you have a woman who like someone like Letty, for instance, right? A great example. Letty is not someone who would look good with a ton of weight on her. She looks better small and dainty. You know, not that I think Letty looks good. Ew, 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 ew. No, but jokes aside, like if Letty put on like 20 to 30 pounds, it probably would not look very good because it would not put itself in good places. It would put itself in bad places. It would put itself on the belly, you know, um, and other just like shitty stuff, you know. Is that Michael Jai White? I don't think that's Michael Jai White. It might be though. It might be. I'm curious, but anyway, no, that's not Michael Jai. Kind of looked like him a little bit, but um, I'm happy to see that like smaller, dainty figures are coming back. I like that. It's nice, you know. I can appreciate a woman who looks good without extra weight on her, you know. And Gina Carano is one of those girls. Like people were making fun of her not having an ass, you know. And it's like, well, yeah, but I mean, everything else looks okay. You know, she's got nice. She's got nice cannons. She's got nice cannons. Pretty face. You know, like she looks nice without the weight on. You know. Excuse me. I'm bumbling through this. I'm bumbling through this. You know. Um, but like that's the point that I'm making is like around like 2009 or 10, all of a sudden it became, I want to be thick. And a bunch of bitches just got fat because they're supposed to look more like a Gina Carano. They're supposed to look more like, you know, small, dainty. Like women like that have an hourglass figure too. It's just not as pronounced, you know? Um, and like, I'm glad that that's kind of over with now. Zep Bound has killed the health at every size movement, and that's so funny to me. That's so fucking hilarious. I'm not the first and the only one to talk about that. Scott's got a nice ass. I do. Gay guys like my ass. It's like it's really weird. I get compliments from dudes. Anyway, Ozempic is making them all look like skeletons though. Yeah, like that is one thing is you got to be careful with that shit. You know, I'm on Zepbound. I'm on my last dose of it. I'm not going up to 15. I'm stopping at 12 and a half. And like wherever I happen to be, I'm fine with that. I'm just going to keep eating healthy and keep working out to make sure that I have you know, like I'm continuing to lose, you know. But that's because I'm making sure to eat. I'm just not eating as much as I used to. I'm not avoiding certain foods. I mean I am. It's not like I'm having like donuts and like tons of cake every day and stuff like that. But like I still eat that stuff, just not as much. And I'm making sure that I pick other things more often. I'm not a salad kind of guy, but I like soup. Soup is nice, you know. I love all different types of soup. Um we have Ronda Rousey walking out right now, I believe, but um like you have a lot of people who they take Zepbound and they're just like, yeah, I'll have like I'll have like not even a sandwich, I'll have a can of tuna per day is like the way that they do it. And it's like, yo, that's bonkers. That's fucking bonkers, dude. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Oh yeah, fuck. Isn't that Cat Zing? Yeah, that's Cat Zingano right there. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure that is Cat Zingano. I can't do soup without bread, so no soup for me. Yeah, like I love broth. It's fun. It's fun to feel like you're drinking a steak. You know, it's nice. It's nice. Oh man. Sorry, I'm fucking doing some shit. Anyway. I like thick soup with a lot of meat. Oh yeah, I just like soup in general. You know, whether it's like a chicken noodle or like if it's something a little more substantial. You know, I it's just nice. You know, it's nice. Some of my best memories are like, oh, I'm homesick from school, and I get some Campbell's soup. You know, um, when I was in the best shape of my life, what I was doing every day was I was doing like steak or chicken and soup on the side, you know? Soup on the side. Soup is a nice side dish, you know? I love clam chowder, you know? And it sucks because we don't like New England is known for clam chowder. It's one of the few culinary delights that is actually worthwhile. Lobster's good, obviously, but you know you can get lobster in more than just New England. But like clam chowder is like it's nice, but there's so few places that do like a real good clam chowder. That's something that people have been talking about a lot lately. Is like when you go to a restaurant, you're not going to a restaurant anymore. You're going to just like a Cisco food outlet. And whether a restaurant is good or bad, it just completely depends on how they prepare and arrange the already cooked Cisco food. They just reheat some Cisco, and then it's fucking like, all right, here you go, kid. You know, and it's like, Matt, that sucks. You know, everything's from the same source, so everything's the exact same. Waiting for this, waiting for this to go. They're stalling. They're doing that stalling. Kind of fucking annoying, kid. CM Punk. Who gives a fuck about that guy? That fucking idiot. Get him out. Get him out of here. Him and this fucking plastic doll bitch. Who even is this chick? Oh, excuse me. Stars and Hingham has good clam chowder. Oh yeah, I might have to check that out then. You know, I did like that's something I got to do. I like cooking. You know, I'm not like Mr. Head Chef over here, but you know, I enjoy cooking stuff, and I gotta make my own chowder. I gotta make clam chowder one of these days. You know, that's 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 what I gotta do. That's what I gotta do. CM Punk looking like a grandfather. Alicia Baumgardner. I don't even know who that is. I feel like it might be a boxer though, and she wore a fucking a dress that shows her titties, and when she's on the camera, she's like, oh fuck. Carmen Electra, boy, I cannot stand how all women look the same today, especially women that were like hot in like 2007. You know, I cannot stand that, bro. You see Shakira, look, you see Shakira, you see um fuck. There was this one chick, she was a black chick. I thought she was really attractive back in the day. There was something about her that I just liked. Fuck, what's her name? She was in a song with Diddy. She was in a song with Sean Paul. Sean Paul, give it up. Keisha Cole, right? Keisha Cole. I'll show you, right? They used to call her the Dark Child. Like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like I think this girl's kind of attractive. If I'm just being honest with you, she's definitely not for everyone. She's definitely not for everyone. But for me, it's the eyes. I like the eyes. She's got very like nice eyes, kind eyes, and I think that's what does it for me. And then she's also got like a really powerful voice that I appreciated, you know. Let's see if we can find her recently. I guess this is her recently. I guess like she looks like every other bougie black chick. You know, same thing with Shakira. Oh, geez, I just realized. You guys couldn't really see that very well. You couldn't see that very well. But this is her now. She looks like every bougie black chick, right? This was her back in the day. Again, not for everybody, but like again, for me it's the eyes and like the singing voice. It's attractive to me. You know, like she looks good here, right? Kinda, you know, the eyes don't look great here. It looks a little, but like there's something about her that's appealing to me. Maybe it's the fact that she dyes her hair orange. I don't know. Maybe. But um seeing the way that even if she doesn't look like terrible, like this doesn't look terrible, but it just looks like every other girl out there today, you know? And then you see Carmen Electra. You see Carmen Electra, right? Or another one, Shakira. Like look at her. That's not what Shakira looked like for so long, you know? Let's see if we can find her when she was younger, right? This is her when she was younger. I think this is Hips Don't Lie. Maybe I would guess, I don't know. Um or this is a better example of what I'm talking about with the whole modern like look thing. She looks like every other girl. She doesn't even look like every other girl but Latina. She literally just looks like every other girl, you know? And that's like that's a crime to me. I mean, look at her here. She looks great here. I like that. Here, she doesn't even look bad. It's just like, why would you want to look like every other fucking girl? Like, again, like, compare. Compare and contrast here, you know? Ashley Simpson, yes. You know, she ran in my head randomly. Like, it was one of those word association things where, no. It wasn't even that. It was, I saw somebody mention something about that because didn't she have a thing where she was going to be lip syncing or something? She was like Jessica Simpson's sister or something like that, and like she had like an awkward moment on SNL where she was supposed to sing, but for some reason they had her lip syncing and the track fucked up, and she did like some weird dance type shit. Like, isn't that what happened? You know, I'm pretty sure it was. What Scott gooned to as a kid stream? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What I goon to now? What I goon to now? This will be this will be low level but interesting while it lasts. Oh yeah, for sure. You know, I like gruel. Says Hi Ecuador. Yeah, that's the kulak in you. You know, you had to get used to eating whatever Stalin would feed you. All right. So we have the tail of the tape. Ronda Rousey is 37. Gina Carano is 44, and she looks pretty good for 44, like I was saying. 5'6" versus 5'8", 142 versus 141.4, 66-inch reach with a 66.5-inch reach. And, yeah, I mean, is Gina going to be stupid and run right in? Or is she going to be smart and fucking keep Ronda at the end of her punches and make her miss and keep on circling that hexagon is what they're fighting in, apparently, is a hexagon, you know? You see, the UFC owns the octagon. You cannot have an MMA promotion with an 8-sided fenced enclosure. Oh, excuse me. Or else the UFC will come at you and they'll come at you hard, you know? Um, so what a lot of regional promotions do, in fact, most regional promotions do, they do hexagons. They use 6-sided cages, which is, you know, that's what I fought in every time I fought. Um, Fucking A, dude. All right, here we have Gina Carano. Oh. I understand the stylistic choice to announce people before they start their walk. I understand that stylistic choice. Um, the only place that I feel really did it well was Pride, you know? Right now I just want to see Gina Carano walk out. There is something to be said about the way there is something to be said about the way the UFC does their walkouts where they don't let you know, hey, we're about to walk out. It just bang, it shows the guy already in the middle of the walk, you know? It shows wide angle view of the entire arena as the as the fight song starts, and then it cuts to the it transitions to the fighter who is already in the middle of their walk. That is stylistically from a video production or just a production standpoint, that is a very good it's very good. It's very good, bottom line, you know. I like it. I appreciate it. Um so it's like seeing the opposite, and it's not like a Pride type situation. It's like because the thing about Pride is that there was always some kind of pageantry. Here there wasn't really pageantry. They just have them walk a long distance straight. I remember Fedor Emelianenko almost fell downstairs once. They had like a 100 step staircase that they had an elevator up to, that they announced people as they were coming up through the floor, and then as soon as it stopped, you walk down the steps. That's fucking sick, dude. That is so cool. You know? Pride was really a fighter's promotion because that is the coolest shit, you know? Like if you ask fighters, they'll tell you the walkout to them is like a reward. Like you feel so fucking sick walking out to the cage, you know? Like that's also usually the first moment the whole day of fight day that you don't feel nervous, when you're like, okay, it's go time for me to get out and, like, walk to the cage. um that is like, that's a big thing, that's a big thing. Bada bing bada boom. um and it's like this. It's like, it's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's like, you could have did it a little bit better. It didn't have to be just emerge from the tunnel and then walk down a long road. You could have had some twists and turns there. You know, could have could have had an oil slick, or like a lava pit that they got to jump over, something like that. I don't know. Gina got them heavy bags. Hell yeah, she does. We used to fight in a dog pen when I did it, or a regular ring. Yeah, there wasn't. Yeah, them early days of MMA, that's when my coach was fighting. He started fighting kind of at the tail end of, like, back when it was still just no holds barred, or Valley Tudo, you know? Um Fucking heady days. I didn't get to experience those. I kind of, I'll be honest with you, I kind of feel like Tony Soprano, and I've talked about this plenty of times, and I've actually considered doing a video about it because I want to have something out there about the reality of the fight game for other people who think they want to fight. I feel like Tony Soprano, one of the first episodes of The Sopranos, he talks about, like, everybody knows it's good to get in on the ground floor, but lately I've been feeling like I came in at the end. The best is behind us. Like, that's kind of what it felt like, having my first fight in January of 2014. Like, the good old days, the golden age was, like, on its way out. It still felt like there was some really exciting shit, and there was a couple of years, like a year or two, of exciting shit in the UFC where MMA really felt fun, and it still kind of felt new and exciting, and like there was untread ground that was now being tread. Um, but now it's like everything has just, like, refinement culture has hit MMA, And it's like, if you're not fighting a certain way, you're probably not going to go far. And I'm not saying it's like you will be kept from going far. There's other reasons you'll be kept from going far. But like, you see the way these guys fight, it's all cookie cutter striking. And even the grappling is all cookie cutter. Everybody's fighting the same way nowadays. I miss the days where you have somebody like Bob Sapp, who his style, what they billed him as was smash mouth or pro wrestling or NFL. They literally billed him as NFL one day for Pride. I'm pretty sure it was NFL, right? That's cool. Like, that's fun. That's cool as fuck, you know? Like, you used to have dudes that fought in wildly different ways, and they would have to find a way to like overcome the other style of that other guy, you know? You don't have that anymore. And then there's the business side, which is what I tend to harp on most lately. The whole, like, if you don't know the right guy, if you're not liked well enough, if you're not part of an in crowd somewhere, you're probably not going to make it to the UFC no matter how good you are. It's probably just not going to happen for you, you know? People padding their records, people doing a bunch of heinous shit, a bunch of crazy shit. It's crazy. It's crazy, you know, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is, you know? What you going to do? You know, I made a tweet. You know, I'll read you this tweet real quick because it'll be quicker and easier than me, and I don't want to miss a second of this fight here. That's why we're here. So, I'm going to read you this tweet that I made because I decided I would talk about it. Yeah, it was crazy when I did it. You never knew a lot about your opponent besides his height and weight. Yeah, you know, and there was no weight classes either. It was like, oh shit, I'm 170 pounds fighting a 240-pound dude. Oops. Whoopsies. But yeah, so this is, I'm going to read this as quick as I can. I've never actually, so my record amateur is 1-2 right now. I wanted to fight more in MMA. I wanted to go pro. And when I do fight again 1 or 2 more times, I'm going to go pro. They're going to be pro fights just so I can say that I went pro. But I've never actually addressed this on here before. My first fight was against the captain of a college wrestling team, which is basically equivalent to a purple or brown belt in jiu-jitsu. At the time, I was a white belt with 2 stripes on my belt. 3 or 4 people refused to fight this guy before he was offered to me. I should have refused to, but I rose to the challenge and I lost. Second was a guy who was trained by a UFC vet and was from one of the premier gyms in the area. It was a back and forth battle, and I won via submission. This dude was trained by shit, why am I forgetting his name? Jorge Rivera is who he was trained by. Somebody who actually got fucked up by Michael Bisping, but he was a UFC vet, you know. Third was a college wrestler who trained at one of the best gyms in the state, which has turned out multiple dudes who dominate regionally as I almost said and as well, and are in the UFC. I got caught just right and lost. The fight game isn't about how good you are anymore. It's about what kind of competition your coach and manager can get for you. Most guys, even as amateurs, try to handpick opponents now, and I didn't do that. My record reflects that. After my third MMA fight, I shifted focus to skill building and took fights sporadically at smokers and kickboxing promotions. As of right now, I never went back to MMA competition because my life and priorities shifted. You know, and then there was one more paragraph where, you know, I refer to a guy who posted my Tapology account, like, as though I was supposed to be like, oh man, he knows I'm 1-2. Ugh, I was trying to keep that a secret, which is why I go under the name that you can find that info on. You know, here we go. Literally, not even. I don't even know how that happened. I don't even know how did that even happen? How did that even happen? I literally was finishing up the point, and I look, and she's on the ground. How did what the fuck? Was it a takedown or was it a? Was it a takedown or was it a fuck up? Was it a takedown or was it a fuck up? Probably a bit of both, right? Probably a bit of both. I would guess it was probably a little bit of both, right? And now they're crying, wah wah, we're girls, wah wah, wah wah wah, we're girls, wah wah wah. So glad I didn't pay for that. Me too. Fucking me too, bro. Oh. All right, show us the replay. Don't show us the fucking hugging. Women have always had to fight for equal rights. They always had equal rights. You know, voting is not a right. Believe it or not, voting is not a right. Voting is a privilege that you have to not only fit certain criteria to be able to do, but you also have to do certain things in order to have access to it. If you are a man between the ages of 18 and 25, you have to sign up for selective service, which is the draft. And you have to be willing to get drafted and go and die for your country. If you don't do that, you can't register to vote. If you try to register, they will either A, automatically register you for the draft, or B, they will be like, no, you're not registered. You can't vote. Hey, I got to give it to Ronda there. She shot in for a takedown. If Ronda learned how to shoot in for takedowns, she could have had her. She could have had her. If Ronda learned to shoot in for takedowns, what did I say about those kicks? By the way, what did I say about boxing? Gina needed to box, is what she needed to do. She needed to box. Instead, she comes out with an inner leg kick that Ronda was going to try and time. You know, no, but like, if Ronda had learned how to shoot in for takedowns instead of trying to be Little Miss Boxer, Little Miss fucking Mike Tyson, Floyd Mayweather, if she had learned how to do that instead, she would have extended her career for another 2 to 5 years. She would have been A-OK. She would have been dominant, you know? Amanda Nunes was not that good of a grappler, you know? What's her face? Holly Holm, not that good of a grappler. Like, she would have been fine, you know? But she stuck to the judo heavy approach, and because of that, she got pieced up by two strikers who knew not to walk forward on her, you know? So there's that. So round of applause for after, what's it been, 10 years, maybe even more since the Nunes fight, learning how to level change and catch a kick to get a takedown. And Gina Carano, why would you throw kicks? Why would you do that? That's so fucking stupid. You know? It's like, holy shit. Women suck at winning and losing. Exactly. That's why they don't compete. That's why they shouldn't compete. But what I was saying about, I'm not even interested in what they have to say. Truthfully. I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it. You know, Ronda did a good job of using the strikes to set up for the armbar. I'll give her that. You know, good for her on that one. You know, like, that wasn't a bad show on Ronda's part. She did some good things, but, you know, overall, it's like, it sucks that that's the end of the fight. Anyway, oh, yeah. Voting was never a right. Voting was only ever a privilege from the very beginning of our nation. In order to vote, you had to be a land-owning white male. Even if you were a white male, that didn't mean you got to vote. You had to be a landowner, you know? And then things changed, and it became basically like all white males over the age of 18. Oh, and that's another thing. You had to be over the age of 18 as well, right? And even though we have expanded the franchise to include more people, and in more situations, we have never made it a true right, because it was never meant to be a right. It was always meant to be a privilege that you both had to earn as well as fulfill certain criteria for. You had to be a person who is over the age of 18. If you are a felon, you are disenfranchised. Your voting rights are taken away from you. If you are not a citizen, you do not have voting rights. You will not get voting rights in the first place, let alone have them taken away from you. There's none to take away. There are so many aspects of voting that are not rights. They're privileges. Free speech, for instance, is a right. You don't have to be a certain person or have a certain thing or do a certain thing in order to have freedom of speech, First Amendment rights in this country. That's not the way that works. You are born with an inalienable right bestowed upon you by God that you have access to at any time, and any disruption of that is an injustice. But with voting rights, those were never a right. They were a privilege. So when you have a situation where somebody, all they have to do is just turn 18, it's still a privilege, but now it's an unearned privilege. Because like I said, there are other criteria that have to be met by certain people in order to be able to do so. Me, I voted in one election. It was a local election because I knew the person who was going to I knew the person who was in the election. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll help you out. He ended up winning, and I got jury duty like 6 months later. And that's when I was like, fuck that. I'm letting this shit sunset, and I ain't voting again. You know? I know, look, I'm in Massachusetts. I could vote Republican, I could vote Libertarian, I could vote American Fascist Party, I could vote American Communist Party if I wanted to. It's not going to fucking matter. The politics of Massachusetts are the politics. It's been gerrymandered so that there is not a single red county or voting area, district or whatever, you know. There's not a single red area in New England, let alone Massachusetts, even though almost half of New England is conservative and they tend to flock around each other, you know? Like, whether I vote or not is not going to matter, you know? But like, it is pretty ridiculous that at one point I had to register for the draft in order to vote. Meanwhile, Ronda Rousey gets to just vote, and that's that, you know? So that's one of the things, you know. It's an unearned privilege is what it is. That was absolutely nothing but just a nostalgic cash grab. Exactly. Isn't an Asian lady the mayor of Boston? Yes, Michelle Wu, and she is tanking the city more than it has already been tanked. Boston was not that good to begin with. It was a liberal shithole where you were liable to get beat up for being white and all that other shit. You know, and the cops would help out the guy that beat you up more than you. It was always a liberal shithole that way. It was safer than a lot of cities out there, like Baltimore. You go to the wrong area of Baltimore, you're in for a bad time. But Boston, just because it's safer than Baltimore, that doesn't mean it's safe. That doesn't mean it's a good place. It's not. It's a bad place. And Michelle Wu is just making it worse and worse and worse as time goes on. You know, it was bad before under Marty Walsh. It was dog shit before under Marty Walsh. You know? Man. Baby, você não me ajuda. All right. Well, like I said, I'm not even interested in what these people have to say, if I'm being honest with you. Oh, fuck, man. Got Travis Brown over there kissing his battle axe of a wife. Anyway, yeah, I'm not really interested in what these people have to say. I don't have anything huge to say anymore. You know, I will say I'm also glad I didn't pay for it too. But yeah. I want to say thank you, everybody who popped in today. I appreciate it. I almost didn't stream, and in the beginning of the stream, I was like, fuck, I might have to end this. I'm not feeling too hot. Excuse me. But we persevered. We persisted. And, you know, we did not take no for an answer. All right? Just as all men should. Yeah, so I will talk to you guys later, okay? And until next time, peace out.
Suck Sullivan, don't mess with his load, or you will get undone. Spinning round and round. assassin, hood cleaner, coming for your Rasta queen. Rape on the washing machine, no use to fight back. MMA, knock your nigga head like a KKK. Hush your nigga mouth if you can't walk the talk. Smokes. Me running really, really fast. Ginger eye round the back of me black ass. Chasing me like a devil, pot belly of the beast. Calling me a dickhead, there is no resist. Closing inch by inch, got me in a pinch. Modern day Scotty rock a laundry lynch. Assassin, hood cleaner, coming for your Rasta queen. Rape on the washing machine, no use to fight back. MMA, knock your nigga head like a KKK. Hush your nigga mouth if